Hey, Carl. Well, I've never scheduled a live before. I wasn't sure how to start it. I had to do some research a little bit. This is a little different. Good. I'm still not sure about the whole thumbnail thing. I don't really like going all fancy on them. I kind of like them simple. In your opinion, which cities would you rank as the top 5? Ooh, that's a good question, Eli. I don't know the answer to that. Is it quality of life? Is it income? I don't know. I mean, I've been to San Francisco. I'm not a big San Francisco. I love New York City. I love visiting there all the time. Great people, lots of shows. Yeah, I'm keeping my thumbnail simple, especially for the lives. I don't need to get all fancy every time. I think the problem is human nature is when we see a thumbnail, it's kind of like a preview of what it's about. So sometimes you have to like make it where people are just scrolling through if they don't know who you are. So I live in California. I was born and raised in California. This is where I grew up. I grew up on, that's why I like Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow and I went to the same high school. We both went to Castro Valley High. I missed her by 1 year. 1 year I missed her. Good old Texas. I wanted to talk about the flag burning thing today because it's not very MAGA and it's yeah, MAGA don't want diversity. They want white America. It's not even an issue. Yeah, Rachel, she's the gold standard. She's a reporter. She's one of the very few people. I watch very, very few mainstream media newses. The flag burning thing is interesting, right? Because these people that scream and yell about free speech, right, about the flag and how you're disrespecting the flag, okay, they had no problem with the convicted felon writing his name on it. They had no problem with white people on January 6th beating officers with the flag. They had no problem with that. They're heroes and patriots. But if you burn a flag, somehow the world's coming to an end and you're a patriot and you need to leave the country. It goes back to my video from a couple days ago. The MAGA white fake Christian needs to be the constant victim of something, right? Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, everything. Oh, hey, Morgan. You know, I didn't see the cabinet meeting, but this is how Benito Mussolini came to power. Everyone needs to kiss Donald Trump's ass. Did you see the diversity in his cabinet? It was all white people. That's it. It looked like a plantation. There's no diversity. The media has failed this country terribly, 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 in a horrible way. Now, why that is, I don't know. Hold on a second here. All right, Morgan. I think you got your thing going there. I don't know if they're afraid. You know, Martin Luther King said there comes a time when silence is betrayal. I have a quote right here on a magnet. Everybody right now that's staying silent is, hey, Mike, hey, Hellhound. They're all complicit in this. We're not going to survive 3.5 years of this. There's going to be a breaking point at some point. This is not sustainable. It's just not. You can't run at 100 miles an hour. Democracy will be gone. I knew that there was going to be a portion of his uneducated base that was for this. I didn't know it was that bad. I was hoping at some point that the Republicans would break away from the cult. Yeah. There was a lady, her name was Rachel Roth Aldizer today, and I saw a video about her, and she has a special needs child. And now she's upset that Medicaid's being taken away. She's concerned, right? She's one of those white evangelicals that buys into the patriarchy, right? That she needs her man to make her feel sustainable or like she belongs to something. She didn't care about January 6th. She didn't care about the life of those officers. She didn't care about white supremacy. She didn't care about the lies. She didn't care about the sexual assault to women. She didn't care about mocking disabled people. She didn't care about none of it. But now that she's losing her Medicaid, now she cares. And you're going to see more of this with farmers. And you know what the sad part is? A lot of us here, I voted for this Rachel lady and her kid, and she didn't even vote for his own best interest. She voted to maintain the white patriarchy. And she thought that her whiteness would keep her safe from the plantation owner. Michelle Obama told us, if you think the darkness isn't coming over your house, you are sadly mistaken. Why does Trump pretend he's a tough guy? Because he's an insecure little bitch. Excuse my language for the ladies in the room. I'm kind of unfiltered with this guy. I grew up with a narcissist. What narcissists do is that they push people around that they view as weak. And they manipulate people. Look at it like this, okay? You're happy and they're not, okay? They don't know how to be happy. So all they know how to do is to tear you down. That's all they know. What do you see when you go to these rallies? Wannabe alpha males, right? Is my hat sideways or is my camera weird? I can't tell. They're dressed up in military boots and camo fatigue and, Trump flags and bald eagles and patriotism. Oh, I'm a real man. And they're angry and their veins are bulging and their eyes are popping out. It's this toxic masculinity. And I had this conversation with a bunch of guys yesterday. We talked about this, right? And there's no empathy, right? There's no encouragement. There's no compassion, no kindness, no forgiveness. It's just, there's a problem with young men that we raise them to teach them, like football players, right? Oh, you broke your knee. That's too bad. Get on the field. I don't want to hear it, right? Oh, coach, I can't move my arm. I don't care. Get on the field. Go play football. Like, there's no compassion. There's no empathy. There's this sadness in our country that if you don't win first place, that somehow little Billy's a loser. And that's what it is. And what's happened is these Republicans, they're not very bright. And I got people in my family from Indiana. They work hard, but they're ignorant and they're dumb and they're racist. And they keep voting for Republicans because they've been told their whole life that the Democrats are responsible for everything in their life. Right? Then they vote for Republicans again and again. And then the Republicans give tax breaks to the rich people. The rich people do nothing and they don't pay anybody more money and they donate back to the Republicans and they stay in power. They go, oh, no. It's the Democrats' fault. So they spend their whole lives voting for this one person that never does anything for their life. And they don't even vote for themselves. They vote against the Democrats. That's the sad part. Is they're not even voting for their own best interest. They're voting against another party. That's what's sad. And he knows that they're uneducated. They play the victim. And so when this plantation owner comes to the White House, hey, Bobby, it's not your fault that you have 3 teeth and you live in a trailer and you live with your mom. No. It's not your fault at all, Bobby. Take no personal responsibility. You know what we're going to do? We're going to blame the Democrats. We're going to blame the immigrants. We're going to blame the black people. We're going to blame the minorities. This is exactly what Benito Mussolini and Hitler did. They blamed everybody else that doesn't fit into their narrowly bigoted box. And that's how you get there. They're the victim. And he's tapped into their ignorance and their toxic masculinity. How about talking about what? Yeah, it is. You're right, Carl. It's trickle-up economics. Anybody that believes in trickle-down economics needs to get a psychiatrist. They're nuts. It doesn't work. But the problem is when you have Republicans that live in rural areas that watch Fox News right now, when you look at what's going on, you would think that the entire country was on fire right now because they gin up their uneducated white trailer park trash base. That's what they do. They just scare them all day, every day. That's why they're afraid of everything, right? It was the jeans. Now it's Cracker Barrel. Then it was green M&Ms. Then it was Dr. Seuss. Then it's Antifa, right? And then it's the QAnon shaman. Then it's a pizza. Then it's a basement. Then you could tell them, oh, there's a Doge check coming. Oh my gosh. How many people made Doge check videos? Did it ever come? No. Did Mexico ever pay for the wall? No. Did he ever release his taxes? No. Did they ever get a healthcare plan? No. They're not very bright. They're not. Misery loves company. Oh yes, there was lizard people. I forgot about that. There was lizard people that were like going to the moon or something. It was some really weird stuff, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. Texas is full of a bunch of not, not, not highly intelligent people. Owning the libs is their entire life. They should release the Epstein files. It's, I was, for those of you who haven't seen me, I was a Republican until 16. I wasn't like very political, but I can't even imagine like this party, right? Family values, votes for a rapist, a man who molested a 13-year-old Katie Johnson in a court deposition, abused his ex-wife, assaulted 25 women, is a felon, right? This is the party of family values on his third marriage. JFK's on his third marriage. He cheated on his wife so many times she took her own life. You have Elon Musk, right? The shadow president who has 14 kids with 6 women. Somehow this is the family of party values between one man and one woman. And now you have the Jeffrey Epstein files where people molested girls and the Republican Party is covering it up. They're so cowardly that they put Congress in recess so their wannabe dictator could run the country on his own and they can all hide in their little holes like cockroaches. And they're hoping that it just goes away. They're literally protecting a pedophile. This is how morally repugnant the Republican Party is. It's gross. Yeah, I'm not. My family's from Indiana, and they're not very bright. They're just not. They're not. I have an aunt that married a guy who's a pedophile. Like, they're not very bright. If I'm not mistaken, 43% of MAGA would still vote for Trump, even if he was on the Epstein list. It's a cult. Yeah, I'm not sure if I give it till the end of the year. We'll find out. I think something's going to break before then. So, speaking of cults, on Friday, I don't know if I can do it live on here. I'm going to try. I'm pushing a show called Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. I'm hosting a show Thursday and Friday. So from 12 to 2, Thursday and Friday Pacific time. But at 12:15 Pacific time on Friday, I'm hosting Daniela. She is the knitting cult lady. She is a cult expert. And I have always wanted to talk about a cult expert about MAGA and how it's a cult, what you could do to break it. That's going to be really interesting. I'm looking to talk to a cult expert on this. Do I think it's a... Yeah, of course you can call in, Mario. Yeah, Brian's awesome. I just talked to him. He's leaving. I'm landing at 2:45 and he's leaving at 4:30, I think. He's going to San Diego for a couple days. Martin Luther King would think that Hakeem Jeffries is a Timu congressman. Hakeem Jeffries, in my opinion, is an utter disgrace. I tell me what the guy's done. Just tell me anything that he's done. He wrote a strongly worded letter. I think I took a picture of it. Hold on, I'll read it to you if I can find it. Okay, let's see what Hakeem Jeffries did. I don't know if I saved it. Oh, it was about that Lee lady from that got let go from the feds. He's chasing the squirrel. He goes after the shiny object. He doesn't even see what's going on. I'm not sure why the system's blocking some messages. Usually talking. I don't know the setting on that. I don't have any words that are being blocked. It's YouTube. Hakeem Jeffries is unlikable because he's not a real person. I put into ChatGPT, what's a jellyfish? If it was a congressman and it spit out Hakeem Jeffries. He's not sincere. He's not. Right? The working class, the middle class, the Democrats will fight for you. Bee-boo, give me $10. I mean, the guy sits on the steps of Congress with sunglasses like he's sitting there with Snoop Dogg. Like, what the hell is that? Oh, yeah, Mike Johnson's way worse. Because Mike Johnson is purposefully tearing down democracy, and Hakeem Jeffries is watching it burn. I don't know if it's one's worse than the other. I always use the metaphor of, was Derek Chauvin more responsible or the 3 officers that watched it happen? I don't know. Right now, every Democrat in this country, Senate Republican, Their asses should be in Washington, D.C. right now, every damn day until Congress is back in session. They should be protesting all over the city, every corner. You know what I saw today? I don't even know if I could. I think it'll show you on here. Look at this. Look, you see that? That's our National Guard in orange vests picking up garbage in the park. That's what they're doing. Do you see any Democrat reposting that right now on social media or on the interviews? Like, this is an utter disgrace. They should be there in person interviewing the National Guard saying, how many Antifa members have you pulled over? None. Have you guys had any violent crimes? None. They should be everywhere. They should be protesting, camped out in tents, staying in the park. And then they should open up Congress. Hold an unofficial congressional hearing right here, right now. It should have the attention of all the media, all the reporters, and all the journalists. And if they get arrested, then good, so be it. I just don't understand why the Democrats have no backbone. I mean, Martin Luther King was in solitary confinement. John Lewis almost died. He got stoned to death and beaten by the cops just for wanting to frickin' vote. And democracy's on the line. We have people in concentration camps. Garcia's going to be sent to Uganda away from his family. And all Hakeem Jeffries could do is come up with a strongly worded letter on Blue Sky. He's an utter disgrace. I should debate Richie Black. I don't want to. Debating MAGA is what they want. People need to understand that. When you debate MAGA, it feeds into their victimhood. When you debate them, they're not looking for a solution. They only want to win. We're playing their game when we do that. Letting them just squirm around on their own and let them create their own narrative is the best way to do it. People that look for attention, like the guy in the White House, like his little base, when you see comments like on my YouTube videos, right? Like, oh, that's a liberal agenda. They're looking for attention. What do you see in those comments, right? You see no names, no faces, no profiles. It's libs this and libs that, and oh, that's fake news. They're looking for attention because they're insecure little boys who never emotionally grew up. That's all they are. Yeah, Garcia's never been. See, that's the whole point. And the Democrats have crapped the bed on this, right? What felony has Garcia been found guilty of? None. Zero. But the guy in the White House is a convicted felon, sexual abuser, insurrection, tries to steal an election, makes fun of disabled people. Where are the Democrats saying, you've got some nerve to be coming after this guy that has a family while you guys are supporting a man who's a pedophile on Epstein Island? Where's the Democrats pushing back? Anybody? I haven't heard it. Not a damn thing. But I see Eric Swalwell on MSNBC every day in his backyard on a Zoom call giving a speech, or Congressman Garcia on MSNBC in his comfy place sitting at home. Yeah, Epstein Island it's I don't care if my dad is on the list, my uncle, my cousin, throw their ass in jail. This isn't complicated. This is a very easy issue. Release it. Anyone that's on there that did anything wrong in any way, shape, or form should be buried under the prison, and they should bunk next to Jeffrey Epstein in hell. Period. It's that easy. There's no other discussion. I don't care who's on it. I don't care if Joe Biden's on there. Lock his ass up too. This isn't complicated, people. These are people's lives. These were little girls that are now adults whose lives are ruined. And we're playing political theater because they want to protect a guy who was sent from Jesus that molested little girls in Epstein Island. You know how morally bankrupt you have to be to think that Jesus sent that here? There's some sick people here. Sick. Yeah, and the teens, you're right. They hired and I think they took some teens from Mar-a-Lago to Epstein Island. There's no way he didn't. Listen, it's just ridiculous. There's absolutely no way in God's earth that they didn't know they know exactly what's happened on there. And they have the list, and their base is so dumb that they're going to chase the shiny object. I don't know if they're going to get away from it. We'll find out. His base is pretty dumb. They have a very short attention span. But they sure hyped up the Epstein list for years and years. Now he's like, nope, there's nothing there. Just trust me. So he's trying to be a tough guy. But the end game is martial law. Don't kid yourself. That is the end game. And they just put a nut. Her name is Honey. Hold on. She was the election denier that started. Her name is Honey something. Heather Honey. She was the one. She was the nut that started the election denying in Pennsylvania and other states. Now she's in charge of. What is her job? She works for Homeland Security now for election security. That should scare you to death. This nut isn't responsible for election security now. The one that started this nonsense. Yeah, see, yeah, Triple H at the White House when he's spitting up in the air. Listen, this is all red meat for his toxic masculinity. That's all it is. Hold on, I'll show you. Did I show? Yeah, go to my video from a couple days ago where it talks about basically how God had sent a 3-time married felon because he was the leader we needed because he was masculine. See, that's really the problem here. There is a problem with a lot of young men, and I say this because they might be 40 or 50, but they're still little men, that they don't view women as equal. They think that somehow women are taking that away from them, right? And you see this with Karens talking to people that are Hispanic or Latino. Get out of my country. Well, they were born here. And she thinks because you're white that this is your country. This belongs to the Native Americans. We stole it from them. We stole the land from Mexico up to Utah. We bought the land from Alaska. We bought it from Russia. We stole black people. All we've done as white people in this country is take. Yes. I just turned on CNN, tired of what? Yeah, Scott Jennings is a white supremacist. That's all he is. Scott Jennings wants to maintain the white patriarchy, and Kevin O'Leary is just a rich, snobby little brat who has a lot of money, who wants to screw poor people and have all the money and just crap on everybody. They're just not good people. I haven't watched CNN since the town hall with Caitlin Clark. Yeah, he's an absolute clown. CNN is trying to go towards the right and pick up Republicans, and they're absolutely just probably bleeding in ratings. I mean, Don Lemon was gone, Cuomo was gone, you got Acosta's gone. All their good journalists are gone. I don't know who the Nike boys are. I'm sorry. Yes, the white hoods that come off and they put on red hats. That's all this is. Listen, this is what this is. Yeah, Scott Jennings is a clown. If Scott Jennings isn't in a safe space, he's kind of like a Charlie Kirk. If Charlie Kirk isn't into his wannabe alpha males, his young little dudes that want to eat like raw meat on a board and arm wrestle grizzly bears, he doesn't debate actual people that have brains. It's all a show, right? He knows that his base is dumb. They're uneducated. They lack critical thinking, but it makes them a lot of money because they're attracted to it. Let's see. Listen, this is, for those of you that know the Civil War, this is a continuation of the Civil War. It left the battlefield. Now it's on the political scale, right? The lost cause. The lost cause was when the Confederacy lost, which they did because they're losers. They wanted to maintain slavery. What happened was, after they got their asses kicked, they said, you know what? No, they're heroes. Because, no, it wasn't about slavery. No, not at all. It was about states' rights. No, it wasn't. This was kind of like the beginning of fake news, right? They created an alternate universe where somehow these people that fought to own black people were heroes. And they built statues to them. I know, but I'm telling you, a lot of uneducated white guys, they don't want, again, it goes back to toxic masculinity, right? They don't want to lose. We have to win because we're the tough guys. Ooh, my grandpa was a hero. No, your grandpa was a coward. He wanted to own black people. He's a piece of shit. He's not a hero. You don't build monuments for people that want to own black people. But that's what it is. This is the continuation. We had no bad things that happened for the South, right? They're like, hey, cool. Hey, hey, you fought for slavery, you seceded, but you know what? Hey, just come back in, everything's fine. There was no consequences. There was none. We never dealt with it. We just left it there. The Democrats were the... I don't worry about the political parties back then. I care about right and wrong. Where is it? Hold on. There was a quote. So Mississippi said something in Texas in their secession speech. It was kind of fascinating. I thought you guys were like, let me pull it up for a second. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. Yeah, they still think it's states' rights to this day. And the problem with MAGA is they will love a gun, the Second Amendment. They will worship it. They will praise to it. They will get out their magic sock and their Trumpy bear and pleasure themselves to the Second Amendment. But they will never talk about the 3/5 clause. They sure like to talk about that piece of history, but they never want to talk about well-regulated, right? Oh my God, background check, that's an infringement. Oh, a waiting period, that's an infringement. You really want an 18-year-old who got picked on at school going out and buying a gun at a gun show without a background check? That's ridiculous. Pro-life my ass. Here it is. Okay. Hold on. Where is... This is what Mississippi said for the people that want to say this is about states' rights. Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. Its labor supplies the product which constitutes by far the largest and most important portions of commerce on earth. A blow at slavery is a blow at commerce and civilization. There was no choice left us but submission to the mandates of abolition or dissolution of the Union. Basically, Mississippi wanted to maintain slavery because they believed, this is what they said, is because of the color of the skin of black people, that they were the only demographic that was qualified and able to pick produce in the tropical sun. And if we banned slavery, nobody else in the whole world except for black people were able to pick our produce. That was Mississippi's take. That's a bunch of shit. Does that sound like states' rights to you? Does that sound like states' rights? It's a bunch of crap. Texas. She was received into the Confederacy that she should enjoy the institution of African slavery, the servitude of the African to the white race within her limits, a relation that had existed from the first settlement of her wilderness by the white race, and which her people intended should exist in all future time. Does that sound like it's about states' rights? No, not even close. Vice President Alexander Stevens, the white supremacist. Our new government is founded. Its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery is his natural and normal condition. That's the Vice President of the Confederacy in his cornerstone speech. Does that sound like it's states' rights? Come on. It's a bunch of crap. But this is the dumpster fire, the clan leaders' base, right? They don't want to read history. Oh my gosh, my grandpa was a hero. He fought for states' rights. Well, literally, the Vice President of the Confederacy said that a Negro is not equal to the white man. Literally, the Vice President of the Confederacy. And their brains are so dumb, so inbred dating their sisters that they're saying, oh, it was states' rights. Oh, yes, he's a hero. So yeah, when you start naming Confederate statues again and bases after slave owners, yeah, it's make America white again. That's all this is. It shouldn't be up there. Because a black person might have had their great-grandpa that was owned by somebody, by that statue even, or his great-grandma, or his aunt, granddad or something. You really want that person to walk by and say, hey, this is a great country. How dare you criticize it? Yeah, I know Robert E. Lee owns your family, but you know what? He was a patriot because he was a great leader. That's what you really want? But that's where we are. A lot of this MAGA is basically the modern day Confederacy. We never addressed it. We never dealt with white supremacy. We just moved on and thought it would go away, and it's festered and it's molded over all these years. That's all it is. It's the same old thing. Make America white again. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's insane. When I do Ancestry, it's kind of amazing to see when you look at wills from like Ohio from the 1800s, it will have like basically a census, and then it will have another area for non-white people. When you look at wills, like I don't know if I had some, I probably did, some old ancestors from another line, but it would have like 13-year-old black person handed to my daughter, like as like, okay, hey, this cup is going to my 13-year-old daughter. That's how they were treated. So don't tell me this country was great for everybody. It wasn't. Right. You're right. And what we've done in this country is we've whitewashed America, right? We have told, especially white people in this country, that we're great. We're raised in schools, right? You worship the flag, you pray to the flag, you idolize the flag. It's a religion, okay? And then you're raised in American flag diapers, and you have flags in your house, on your walls, on your shirts. You have tattoos of them. And you wake up and you eat your Freedom Wheaties because you're an American. You're a patriot. Then you pray to it. And then you leave for work and you're like, oh, wait, before I go to work, I have to feed my pet bald eagle because I'm a patriot. And then before you get in your truck, you polish the Constitution, of course, because it has to be on your truck. And then you make sure that all 800 million American flags are on your truck are all lined up because you want to make sure, because, you know, it's been a day since you've driven your truck that somebody might think you're not a real patriot. And then you got to listen to God Bless America in your truck, and you got to have 25 guns in the back because that's American. Second Amendment freedom. That's not patriotism. It's nationalism. That's all it is. It feeds into the toxic masculinity. They're all immature. They don't want an America that doesn't look like them. They want that traditional photo of a white kid in a white ice cream shop sitting next to a white cop being served by a white ice cream server. They want Leave It to Beaver. That's what they want. Then you get white evangelicals that say, this is a Christian nation. Really? When? When Mississippi didn't want slavery because they said they're the only people that can pick their fruits? The Trail of Tears where 16,000 people died? How many black people died on boats coming over here? That almost, what is like a 1 to 2 month journey? Really? Jim Crow slavery? Black people couldn't sit in the same church as white man. That sounds like a amen. Such a Christian nation. When was this a Christian nation? I mean, weren't we all made in God's image? How could you say, I love Jesus, love thy neighbor as thyself, but then you look at your neighbor and say, oh, wait, they're black. No, sorry, not you. What the hell is wrong with you people? Bunch of dumbasses. Bunch of racist pigs is what they are. Bunch of hillbillies. Right, but if you look at Howard, if you look at most of the TV shows growing up, not all of them, the majority of the shows, the sitcoms, when we grew up, almost all of them, except for a very small few, was white families. Al Bundy, King of the Hill, Facts of Life. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Almost all of them were one demographic. Yeah, I'm with you on the Christian thing. Listen, I consider myself a person of faith. Christians have weaponized the Bible to push their own agenda. Think about this, okay? So these white supremacist evangelicals, we're going to call them Pharisees because that's what they really are. They're religious zealots. They're going to say that God picks imperfect people. Okay, first of all, by your fruits shall you be judged. Now, God didn't pick perfect people, but I tell you what, everyone that he picked repented and they changed their ways. So God picked a rapist, a sexual abuser, a white supremacist, a guy that didn't rent to black people, who asked for the execution of the Central Park Five, that sat by on his ass and ate donuts and Big Macs for 3 hours while officers were being beaten with flagpoles. And God goes, yep, that's my guy. When he's asked what your favorite book in the Bible is, I can't discuss that. It's just too personal. I can't. Really? The book of Jeremiah? That's too personal? Really? Really? That's too personal. That's so stupid, right? This is who they picked. And then they say, and then God saved his ear. So God sat up there during the Holocaust, during segregation, during Jim Crow, during the Trail of Tears, during all of these atrocities, during Sandy Hook, Uvalde, and on and on. And God just sat up there, right? And he's like, you know what? That guy that wears diapers and makeup, that can't even keep his own marriage vows, who said to all three wives, before God, I will love you for better or for worse until death do us part, that you cheated on her while she's at home with your 2-week-old son that I blessed you with. That's the guy that's a shining pinnacle of Jesus Christ. The guy that literally gave his life for people. Who said, if you live by the sword, you shall die by the sword. Who fed people. Who loved people. Who never did anything wrong. Who never spoke negatively of anybody. That's the guy that God sent to save your little orange ear. But see, that level of dissidence is why we're here. When you grow up in the evangelical church, you are not told to think for yourself. You're told to be a good little Christian. Don't question God. Don't question the Bible. Don't question the pastor. Just do what it says. Just take these out, right? Abortion is bad. The Democrats are from the devil, and gay people are bad. But if you cheat on your wife and you're a white man, hey, you can't judge him. Nobody's perfect. God picks imperfect people. Can I vote for Pete Buttigieg? Oh, no. That's outside the design of God. Oh, wow. Funny how that works. Right? Funny how that works. Deuteronomy 22:22 says, if a man shall lie with another man's wife, that is detestable in the sight of the Lord, both shall be put to death. I don't see evangelicals running around. How about you're not supposed to eat shellfish or scaled fish or pork? Not supposed to shave your beard or get tattoos. Do they still sacrifice lambs? Of course they don't, because they're hypocrites. They cherry pick Bible. That's what religion is. The Bible never says to be Christian or Catholic or Lutheran or Pentecostal. The Bible never says to have rosary beads. Does it anywhere? That's religion. Nowhere does God tell us to be religious. He says to have the faith of a child. I choose faith. You know what's different? What's cool? What I understand? You have free will. If you want to be an atheist, more power to you. You want to worship a grasshopper? That's your right. See, that's the difference between a religious person and a person of faith. I believe that God gives us free will to believe what we want. Just like God gives Adam and Eve the free will to eat the fruit or not. Did God stop abortions? No. Did God stop Sandy Hook? No. That's free will. And if they call themselves a person of faith, an evangelical Christian, whatever the hell that even means now, and you literally take away the free will that God gives people, that is the antithesis of what you say you believe. You don't have to agree with it, but it's their right to live their life the way you want. Why does he not apologize for anything? Because he's not sorry. The Klan leader in the White House, this is what you need to understand, and it's hard for people that are empaths like me. He doesn't love his wife. He doesn't love his kids. He doesn't love his grandkids. He doesn't love his supporters. He doesn't love himself. You need to understand that. He has no basic empathy. He doesn't care who gets harmed. He doesn't. That's how these people work. It's horrifying. It's heartbreaking. These are the same people that say, I love Jesus, right? But they won't even give somebody universal health care. They'll storm the Capitol and they'll literally beat officers, put up nooses, stab officers, cut off their fingers, drag them out, slam them in a door, all because they didn't like the results of an election. Now, if you have Sandy Hook and you have to identify kids by their dental records, all they get is what? Thoughts and prayers. There's nothing we can do. Oh, it's horrible, but there's nothing we can do. But there's 12 trans people in all of college sports. Oh my God, that is such a sin. That is outside the design of God. This is who they are. Hypocrisy is thy name. Yes, he is a clown. And this country wanted to be entertained. Did God pick Woodrow Wilson or the Founding Fathers or even Andrew Jackson? Mankind did. We chose them. I don't know the answer to that. What was that quote? It was LBJ said, LBJ. Here's the quote from LBJ. He said it best. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him someone to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. I mean, that's true, right? He had Kamala Harris, who was the most qualified candidate, finished at the top of her class. District attorney, intelligent, smart, not a criminal, not a felon, not a rapist, not a pedophile. Didn't cause an insurrection. Didn't have tax fraud. Didn't ask for the execution of the Central Park Five. But somehow, you just couldn't vote for her, right? Because she just wasn't qualified. Because she wasn't a white man. That's what it really was. That's it. That's all it was. It's not complicated. But the Democrats are afraid to say it. Content creators are afraid to say it. I'm not. This is where we are. This is the problem. This isn't about politics. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It's not about taxes or tariffs or a way of life. It is not. These white people voted for him because he's a white man. They couldn't stomach a black man in the White House instead of picking their cotton. Sorry, Morgan. I know she's heard this a lot. That's all it is. So they went back to the clan leader, the plantation owner, because that's what they wanted. We had a little bump in the road with Joe Biden because he was a white man, and they went right back to the plantation owner. I don't know, Howard. I honestly, these white evangelicals, they will never vote for anybody that's not a white man. I honestly believe that. They're so bigoted. They're just so full of ignorance and biased. And it doesn't matter what you tell them. In the book of Numbers, the priests give women bitter water. They literally aborted their babies. But they don't ever want to talk about that. It's in there. But they don't care because it doesn't fit their narrative. See, these evangelicals are so stuck in their ways, anytime you challenge them on any piece of fact, right? It's fake news. That's not real. You don't know what you're talking about. The truth is coming. You're a liberal. They're indoctrinated not to hear anything. For this group of people, when you challenge them on something that they've been indoctrinated on, they view it as an insult to their masculinity. And they view it as losing. Like if they change their view on something, I can't do that. That's not going to work. Yeah, their hate for the Democrats. That's what it is. How can you say, I hate the Democrats and cheer it on, and then go to church with a fuck Joe Biden bumper sticker and a Joe in the Ho t-shirt and then praise Jesus? How can you do that? How can you live in both light and darkness? How can you serve two masters? You can't. You can't. You cannot say that I hate the libs, I hate the Democrats, I hate Taylor Swift, and cheer it on, and then say, I love Jesus. You cannot do that. You don't. They serve the Antichrist in the warehouse because that's what he is. Yes, I would argue that Jesus was a liberal. And I'll tell you this, if Jesus came down and ran against Trump, evangelicals would vote for Trump because he is their Messiah. He is their God. The Second Amendment is their Bible, and MAGA is their religion. That is their Trinity. The Pharisees, the MAGA Pharisees, only want hell, fire, brimstone. You're all going to hell unless you do what I say. Look, go back 2,000 years, okay? This is just for historical purposes. And again, I don't care who you love. If you believe in God, you don't believe in God, more power to you. It's your life. You live it the way you want. Who did the Sanhedrin choose? They said, we're going to crucify this Jesus guy because we didn't like what he said. He's not conforming to our religious ideology. So we're going to murder you, right? Then he stood before Pontius Pilate. Once a year, he pardons one person. I'm like, cool. You got Jesus and you got this guy named Barabbas. This dude is like in the darkest dungeon because he's a felon, he's murdered Christians, and he's an insurrectionist. Who did the Sanhedrin choose? Barabbas. Because he's an alpha male. He's a tough guy. He's a lion, not a sheep. This is who MAGA has always been. They have always wanted Barabbas. Look at the speech from Bishop Boudet from like 2 or 3 months ago, right? I want compassion, kindness. They're human beings. Let's love them as we love thyself. And what were these MAGA evangelicals saying? How dare you speak to the president? You better apologize for this. For what? She literally just wanted compassion and empathy. And that was a bridge too far for them. Think about that. She didn't ask him to do anything else. Basically, act like Jesus. Nope. How dare you insult our master? He is their God. When you look at it from that lens, it makes more sense. Do you see Jesus bumper stickers, Jesus hamburgers, Jesus hats? Do they storm the Capitol and beat people in the name of Jesus? No. Do they have Jesus condoms, Jesus sunglasses? Is Jesus on their bumpers, on their trucks, on their boats? No, it's Trump. He is their golden calf. This is who they are. He is their deity. He's their antichrist. He is. Now, is he the antichrist? I don't know. But he's the antithesis of what Jesus stood for. There's no compassion. Has he ever said, hey, I'm sorry I did that? How could you call Colin Kaepernick a son of a bitch just because he took a knee? But if you beat a police officer with a flagpole, you're a patriot and you get pardoned because you're a white U.S. citizen. Colin Kaepernick kind of like changed my outlook on life, to be honest with you. That's kind of when I turned the corner when I left the Republican Party. Jesus is in my... Really? Jackie Robinson was incredible. He's trying to whitewash history more than it is right now. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you this. This is what I get comfort. Yeah, of course he wants to go to heaven. Yeah, sure. That'll be the first time he ever talks to God, is when he goes to heaven. I get comfort that on one day, he will stand there. He will not be in his diapers. He won't have Big Macs. He won't have orange makeup. He won't have his little white supremacist cult there to support him. He won't have lawyers. He won't have money. He will have nobody to be the victim of. He will stand there and he will say, I do not know you. I gave you great power. You had every opportunity to do something good, and you decided to serve yourself. You chose to serve the prince of this world. And he's like, here's your bunkmate. You're going to go right next to Jeffrey Epstein. Good luck. Goodbye. Bye-bye. I get comfort in that. He can hide all he wants, but he's not going to run away from Judgment Day. He is. I believe that there's a passage in 1 Samuel 8. And again, this is not preaching, just a context. The people of the time in Israel asked for a king. God said no. A second time, they asked God. He said no. The third time, are you sure you want a king? Are you sure? Yes, yes. Okay, cool. Here, I'll read it to you. Hold on. I'm not going to go too far into this. I just want to give this. This is just for context. Here it is. Okay. King reign over you. Samuel told all the worlds who were asking for a king, because this is important, because I think this is actually why we're here. This is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. So he's telling them, you want a king? This is what's going to happen. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of 50s, and others to plow the ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vintage and give it to officials and tenants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own. And after he said all of this, the people refused to listen to Samuel. No, we want a king over us. Then we will be like all of the nations, with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles. They wanted an alpha male. And then Samuel said to God, this is what they want. He's like, listen to them and give them a king. So literally they said, no, no, no. Fine, you want it? This is what's going to happen. All this bad stuff. You're basically going to be slaves to the king. And they said, yep, I don't care. I still want it, right? So let me tell you how this ends, because this is important, because I think this is where we're at. These little children are going to learn. Where is it? Here it is. They forgot the Lord their God, so he sold them into the hand of Sisera, the commander of the army of Hazor. The king sold the people to another country. Then they cried out, we have sinned, we have forsaken the Lord and served the Baals and the Ashtoreths. Now deliver us from the hands of our enemies and we will serve you. I'm sorry, we messed up. Save us, help us. So this is what I think is happening, right? These white supremacists, these fake Christians, these Pharisees, asked for a king and they got it. They got an orange king in diapers. And he's like, are you sure you want this? Yeah, we want a king. They're going to lose their farms. They're going to lose their houses. They're going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their health care. And they're going to be struggling. And some of them are probably going to be homeless. They wanted a king. And by God, they got it. Now they're going to FAFO. This is where they're going to end up. And I have no sympathy for them. Something about Cracker Barrel. Who the hell cares about Cracker Barrel? I don't know. I don't give a damn about Cracker Barrel. Like, see, this is the problem. These people that are pro-life, that are so pro-family, care more about the redesigning of Cracker Barrel because it's woke. Why is it woke? Because it has clean bathrooms? Because it has complete sentences on the wall? Because it's clean? Because it has bright lights? Because it doesn't look like a trailer? I don't know. What the hell is woke about Cracker Barrel? They're triggered by everything. It's the constant desire to be a victim. Anytime something is different, they don't like it. And that's what triggered them with Obama. It was different. Oh, it wasn't a white president. Oh my God, what am I? Oh my God. Oh, the world's coming to an end. This is who they are. They're the constant victim of everything. You can't reason with people that are the victim of everything. Yeah, it was green M&Ms. It was Bud Light. Then it was Kaepernick taking an egg. The horrors. Yes, the policies are going to hurt rural America more. And they have no idea. They're about to find out. And Fox News at some point is going to have to face reality that they can't keep blaming Joe Biden because he's not president. There's going to be a time when his base is going to wake up on some level. Now, there's going to be the cult that's going to stay in the Titanic until it hits the bottom of the ocean. And they're going to blame George Soros until the day they die. There's nothing you could do for the hardcore white supremacists. Nothing. Yes, Mike, I said this in February and I posted on Facebook, and when it comes around, I'm going to repost it. His end game is martial law. He wants to be king. And both political parties will be complacent in the fall of democracy if that happens. I hope it doesn't. I'm trying to do that through a general strike. But the Republicans have completely capitulated their power to serve a God king. And the Democrats are watching the house burn, asking you for $10, $5, help us win in a year and a half. Yeah, I don't give a damn about the... We got people that are living paycheck to paycheck. I don't give a damn about Cracker Barrel at all. Yeah, Cecilia is right. The sad reality is there's nothing we can do. Even the people that voted for Vice President Harris, the people that are poor are the ones that always get the shit sandwich. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I wish that there was a way around it. I don't see how there is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to suck for all of us. But the people that are poor, they're the ones that are going to get screwed the most, and it sucks. Hello, Belchin. I don't know, Mario. Is he the worst person on the planet or the people that support him? I don't know. He's a cult leader. Watch my live on Friday. I'm actually curious. I'm really looking forward to talking to Danielle, the dating cult lady, in 3 days. We're going to talk about the cult and how it works. When I talked to her, I actually met her last Wednesday at a restaurant, at a kind of like a dive bar in Pacifica. And she doesn't think anything's going to leave until people start to pass away. She's not endorsing it. She's not saying she wants that. But that's what's really going to get their attention. When they lose their farms, when they lose their houses, when they're on the streets in their tents with their little Trumpy bear. Now, there's a part of them that's never going to leave. They can lose everything. They could be eating garbage on the side of a street, and they will still vote to own the libs because you cannot take the hate out of some of those people. That is what drives them. Yeah, Howard, I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't even wish for the people that voted for this, but the reality is they have to. There's going to be part of this of the MAGA base. You can tell a kid that the iron is hot, right? That the skillet's hot. You can tell them until you're blue in the face. And sometimes a kid needs to touch the pan and get scars on their fingers before they actually listen. That's his base. They're like little children. No. Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. Oh, my gosh, that's really hot. I told you. Well, I thought it was fake news. I didn't believe you. Donald Trump told me it wasn't hot. Well, they're going to have to wake up. Yeah, I believe that Florida actually banned an Anne Frank book, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, Florida. Let me see if that's correct before I say that. Oh, wait a minute. DeSantis slams California Democrats over the clean donors event of Florida. I can't tell. I have to look it up. I don't see. I'm seeing. I have to look it up. I'm seeing two different points of view on this, which is very strange. So I don't know. I'll look up it later, but I don't know. But they're banning all kinds of books. They don't want any piece of history that offends their whiteness or takes away from their American exceptionalism, their nationalism. Anything that goes against that is considered woke or bad. Yeah, Sarah, I understand. This is the thing for me. This is what I look like. I can either hide behind my privilege or use it to fight, and that's what I'm going to do. I grew up in a house with a dad that was extremely physically abusive. He used to beat us with frying pans and throw my mom through a wall. So I grew up with somebody like him. The only way you take down somebody like that is to insult their orange makeup, their diapers. Don't call him President Trump. Everybody on here should call him Donald. Do not call him Trump. Just call him Donald. And I have to be better about that. Do not call him President. Not Donald Trump, just Donald. Be petty. You have to insult his insecurities. He is an egomaniac. He has a very fragile ego. That's what you have to go at. He is emotionally unstable. He is not playing 5D chess. He's eating checkers. Or Donnie. That's fine. Don't call him President Trump. That isn't, you're feeding into his narrative. Just call him Donald. Diaper Don's fine. Yeah, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I wish I wish there was some way we can get away from this horror show, but the damage. Oh wait. Hold on. Can I pin it? Oh, there it is. Boop. Oh, look at that. Woohoo. Oh, he's just an awful human being. There it is. So, yeah. He's just not a good person. He's not. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people. I'm friends with a couple of conservatives, but they have decency and morality. I miss the days of John McCain. John McCain would be rolling over at his grave. To see a rapist president having soldiers get on their knees and nail down a red carpet for a dictator that's literally murdering innocent citizens in Ukraine, laughing and joking, sharing a beer, sharing an Uber, it's disgusting. I voted for John McCain, then I voted for Obama. I thought McCain was a decent human being. I didn't dislike Bush. I didn't like what he did over there in Iraq. That was really, 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 really awful what he did. He put people on the ground over there, fought a war we should have never been in. Do I think he's a bad person? No. But did George Bush come out during this last election and say anything? Or did he hide in his bunker? He had no problem going to the Dallas Cowboys games and throwing out the first toss or whatever it was, or flipping a coin. He sat on his ass and did nothing. He stood by and watched it happen. That's on him. That's what leaders don't sit back when the house is on fire. You get up. What are my thoughts on Republicans? They're all scared. Some of them are scared. See, the problem is a lot of these Republicans played games, right? They ginned up their uneducated base, told them lies, and then now they can't put the genie back in the bottle. So a lot of them are getting threats from their constituents, which are, Jesus-loving Christians that are making anonymous death threats to them. So they're scared. They created it. They should fix it. I believe that we should rewrite the Constitution for the simple fact that A, we don't own muskets that take 1 minute to reload. And two, I don't like living in a country where our foundation of our country says that a black person is only worth 3/5 of a white man. I don't give a damn about an amendment. I don't give a damn. Because I guarantee you, if there was something in there about guns and we had to make an amendment about it, every MAGA would be up in arms. We have to rewrite it and be very clear and change the foundation. But because they're not black, they don't care. You cannot say you're equal for all people if the Constitution, that's the bedrock of your democracy, says that black people are us, and then say, we're a Christian nation. But hey, we're not perfect. Maybe in 1,000 years, maybe black people will be equal. Maybe we'll stop running line to their house. Maybe we'll stop devaluing their house. Maybe they'll have to stop calling the N-word. Like, what, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 5,000 years down the road? Like, when does it stop? Come on, it's disgusting. That's a bunch of crap. That's a very white privileged thing to say. Al D'Amato and Alan Simpson. I don't know them. I'm sorry. Well, Reginald, he is. He. To him, this is a TV show. Listen, the news has done a really piss poor job of pushing back. He's an idiot. He's a clown. He's a jackass. That's what he is. He's literally eating paint chips. And his base thinks that he's playing 5D chess. He doesn't even know what a pawn is. He's an idiot. But we keep normalizing his stupidity and saying, oh my gosh, the dude literally bankrupted 2 casinos within a year. In the United States, it's about to be his 7th bankruptcy. He's about to bankrupt an entire country. You know what they're going to say? Oh, it's God's design. Oh, the truth is coming. The truth. This is how dumb they are. Yeah, CNN is probably the worst. They're awful with Scott Jennings. And then you have Chris Cuomo. What the hell happened to that nut job? He has gone off the radar, man. Correct. Larry's. Yeah, you're right. He did. This is how fascism starts. You blame the minorities, right? You blame the immigrants, the Muslims, the anybody that's not white. It's everyone's fault. The white man, they're coming for you. Woo! And now what you see is a lot of Karens in his middle-aged, uneducated trailer park. Oh, get out of my country. This isn't your country. This belongs to the Native Americans. This is everyone's country. If you don't like being called a racist, don't act like one. Maybe MAGA should go back to your country. Get your asses back to Europe. Go back to where you came from if you don't like it. How about that? You don't like that? Then don't tell people to go back to their damn country. This is their country. You don't own America. You don't own the flag. And you don't own patriotism. Right, Betty Boop. And I'm assuming that person he spoke to was probably a white lady, right? I would imagine. Yeah, that's what people do, right? And when you look at a lot of these white evangelicals, they're young ladies that have never been treated differently in their life. They lived a very, very privileged life. They've never had anybody look at them differently or call them the N-word or discriminate or pay them less. See, I knew it. That's what they do. They, especially for the ladies, they buy into the patriarchy. They want their white privilege to be maintained. They don't want their seat at the table to be gone. They don't want to be judged on the context of their character. They want their privilege to be maintained based on what they look like. That's just the truth. They don't like that the majority's not white. It scares the hell out of them. Now they're going to have to say, oh, damn. Do you see MAGA in the fields? Do you see their lazy asses out there with their red hats? With their pants falling down to their butt crack? Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Where are you at? I thought you wanted all these jobs. You got them. Now you're too damn lazy to go out in the field, except for like 2 days. Yeah, you don't see them out there picking almonds, tomatoes, lettuce, green onions. No. But they'll demonize an immigrant who's busting their ass, who's never committed any crime. But if you're a rapist and you're a white man and a felon, you get to be president. Somehow he gets a pass. That's very American. That is literally American exceptionalism at its finest. It is. The white man is always treated differently, and it has to stop. I'm going to have to take off here in a second. I got to pack pretty soon. I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to Las Vegas to host a show. No. Kilmar Abrego Arresquilla does not deserve this. We should deport the guy in the White House, not him. That's with these fake Christians, right? This is the problem. They don't view people that aren't white as human beings. They don't care that he has kids and a wife. They don't give a damn. The cruelty is the point. They love the suffering of others. I'll leave you with this story. And I know that Morgan's heard this 1,000 times, so I apologize. Betty Boop. White evangelical women have and I'm not saying this as 100%, but the majority of them have very low self-esteem. They believe that their man makes them whole, that their job is to serve their man, their husband, to make the babies, to do their part. It's almost like a work relationship. They don't view each other as equals. It's gross. And you're going to start seeing more women standing up saying, do you love me? Because you can't keep voting against my rights. And then the men break up with them and they lose their minds because they don't know, oh my gosh, you left me. Yeah, you no longer have control over her. They do. They buy into the patriarchy. They see it from their mom, their aunts, their grandma, and they go, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. It's generational. It's taught through the evangelical church. They cherry pick one scripture that says a woman is supposed to be submissive to her husband. I go to Costco. I do the grocery shopping. I do the dinner. I wash the dishes. I do the laundry. I got to go full laundry tonight after I'm done here to get ready for tomorrow. I drop the kids off. I pick them up. I do it all. I do the bills. Does that make me woke? Am I a weak sissy man? Am I not masculine because I do the damn laundry? The hell? I live here too. It's my laundry. I watch my kids because they're my kids. They're not hers, they're mine. Do I consider Mike Pence a hero? He did his job. Mike Pence is still taking away women's rights. Mike Pence still served with the man who said, grab women by the PUSSY, who had 25 women that he assaulted, including Jean Carroll. Mike is not he's a coward. He did one thing right. That's it. He did the bare minimum. He's no different than the guy in the White House than Donald. He is not a hero. Yeah, you're right, Clockwork. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bike. The strong women don't need a man to make them feel like there's something. But too many little alpha males think that they need to control something, right? That's why it's demographic, right? They got big beards, tattoos. Yeah, I'm a real man, Bob. Have me a beer. Yeehaw, America. I got 38,000 guns at home, and yeah, I'll Second Amendment. Them libs trying to take it away from me. But they don't give two shits about children that are murdered in schools. Not a damn thing. Nothing. They're very insecure, and their version of masculinity is very gross. I have not, Churchill, I have tried to. I watched something about, I watched 2 documentaries about, oh hell, what was it called? The losers of the Civil War. I just talked about it, sorry. Where they told themselves that it was about states' rights. I just forgot what it was called. Yeah, Pence is a coward. There's nothing in D.C. that needs to be fixed. There's more crime in red states. No, the lost. The hell am I? Not the lost doctrine. Oh, that was, I forgot what it was called now. Anyway, I'm not sure if I'm going Friday because I'm flying back from Las Vegas. Yeah, Mike Pence still thinks that he's going to be relevant. Mike Pence is an idiot. No, it was after they lost. They came up with this. I'm having an absolute brain fart. I know the name of it. After they lost the Civil War, they told themselves this lie that it was about states' rights, not about slavery. It was called what the hell was it called? I just said it when I first started here. The lost cause? What the hell was it called? Hold on. Now I'm having a brain fart. Now I'm upset at myself for not remembering this. The lost cause. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. Yeah, they told themselves that it wasn't about that. Yeah, Mike Pence. I don't know what game Mike Pence is playing, but it's ridiculous. And then all these Republican governors are sending him there to make their daddy look like he's an alpha male. That's all this is red meat for his base. And again, if every Democrat in Congress and the Senate got their asses in Washington, D.C., they could report on this. They should be reporting, look at the National Guard. If there's so much crime, why are the National Guard picking up garbage on the ground in orange vests? If there's so much crime, why do they have time to pick up garbage? Where's the Democrats? Once again, they have crapped the bed and they're letting this narrative go unchecked. They're going on CNN and MSNBC and like Brian Cohen. That's it. That is a very, very, very small percentage of people in this country. Instead of doing that, they're sitting at home, drinking margaritas, writing strongly worded letters. Right. But the Democrats, look, it's the same thing with the whole trans thing, right? As an example. All these kids are having trans surgeries. Great. Give me the names of 50 kids that had trans surgeries in grades K through 12. Very simple. Where is it? What's their names? Ask them every day. You lied. Yeah, you did. You lied. Give me the names of 12 schools in grades K through 12 that teach CRT. Give me the names of 50 people that are DEI hires that are unqualified. Where's the Democrats pushing back? Nowhere. Yes, Donald Trump, or Donald, not just Donald, is Robert E. Lee. Yeah, it's the Confederacy, the lost cause. We never really put the Confederacy down. We said, hey, come on back. Let's all sing Kumbaya, and we've lived with that mistake ever since. Someone said Triple H will fire him. Triple H is just, listen, it's all the Triple H thing, Dean Cain basically looking like an old crippled grandpa going over hurdles. This is all the perception of what they think a alpha male is. That's all it is. It's red meat for his ignorant base. That's it. That's all it is. That's why Charlie Kirk goes to colleges with young bros, a bunch of young white guys that have no idea what the hell they're doing. He tells them that their version of America, their toxic masculinity, is being challenged by trans people and gay people and lesbians, and that's all it is. It's all scare tactics. That's all it is. They're grifters. You scare people, you create a problem. Only I can fix it. Listen to me. Oh my gosh, I'll follow you. Ka-ching. Yeah, subscribe. Watch it some more. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Dr. Phil is an absolute embarrassment, yes. Rachel Maddow is a real man? Come on, really? I'll let Morgan take care of that clown. Rachel Maddow is one of the very few journalists in this country that are actually reporting on the protests throughout the country. She is the gold standard, period. It's not a debate. She is the best journalist out there. I don't, that's just my opinion. Tell me who's better. I could never vote for Harris or Waltz. Yeah, Mike Pence is like a Temu version of like Hakeem Jeffries. That's all he is. He's a clown. Mike Pence has taken he's over here, then he's over there, then he's over. I don't know what the hell his game plan. I don't know. I don't even know why he's opening his mouth. Nobody. Do you think MAGA really cares about him? They will never vote for him because he didn't worship his orange daddy. That's it. They view him as a traitor to the country. He will never be elected in that office ever again. Maybe he's going to run for Senate. I don't know. But I don't know what, if he just wants to be relevant, if he feels lonely, I don't know. And what? Who cares? You think Democrats don't care about him? He's a clown. MAGA doesn't care about him. Maybe some moderate Republicans. But who cares? It's not going to get him anywhere. A couple of likes and views. Nobody cares what Mike Pence has to say. She does a hell of a job. Her research team is top notch. I like Tim Waltz. I don't think he was the right pick. I don't. I know what she was trying to do with that pick. Now, I don't think it would have changed the election. She should have just picked Josh Shapiro. Morgan, are you still here? Can you take care of these little wannabe alpha males? Rachel, I don't know if I want her to be president. She's a good journalist. She's not. She doesn't want to be president. She doesn't want to deal with that. Hold on a second here. Sorry, I was trolling there. I don't know if you saw Morgan, that southern redneck guy with his Confederate flag, because of course he wants to support people that endorse slavery. That's very on brand for MAGA. This is what I've learned, Quesadilla, about MAGA. Even on my TikTok channel, I don't debate them. And I'm going to tell you why. This is when you platform hate and bigotry and sexism and misogyny, you're saying that it's okay, you normalize it. When I go on TikTok, I see people that are grifters. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it, Morgan. I got them. They are rage baiting people. They want to create a dumpster fire. And the reality is, when you sit there, you're normalizing that behavior. I mean, this is the thing. This country voted for a man who rapes women. He did. That's what he does. He's a pig. He's a disgusting, morally repugnant human being. And I'm not going to sit up here and argue with somebody that doesn't see that as a red line. And for the handful of people that I've actually talked to, my first question is, why wasn't Jean Carroll a red line? And most of the time, they don't care because they wanted a man to run the country. They're pigs. And when I ask them, what if it was your mom? Would you vote for him? They say no. So again, because it didn't affect them, it wasn't their mom or their aunt or their sister, they don't give a damn. And that's not okay. Brian Shapiro is a radio show host. I am not. That's what he does. He does his thing. I do my thing. So I just don't normalize that behavior. We as a society have normalized the mistreatment of women. And then when they come up and they actually say something, oh, she's lying. She's in it for the money. It's disgusting. It's absolutely sick. And I will not debate people that don't see abusing women as a red line not to vote for somebody. It's just gross. I mean, would you vote for Hitler? Yeah, what he did to the Jews was wrong, but you know what? I really like his policy. I don't vote for the man. Yeah, Benito Mussolini put 130,000 people in slavery, but you know what? I really like his tax plan. I just vote for you know how effed up that is? Do you know how morally bankrupt of a moral compass you have to believe that crap? It's sick. And it's rich that these people sit in church and say, you're supposed to build your wealth in heaven where moth and rust can't get to them. But all they care about is money. Is it not easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven? Decency, morality. I can accept that policy. Richie Black was one of my favorite white supremacists versus Betty Sahan. Oh, yeah. Was that I know who you're talking about. Yes. Hitler is probably bunking next to Jeffrey Epstein right now. And I hope he enjoys everything coming his way. What he did to people was unforgivable. In case you guys didn't know this, when Benito Mussolini lost power because he neglected the economy, right? And they had to buy food on the black market and they couldn't afford housing. They murdered him. They drug his ass out to the square. They took the life of his mistress and they hung him up to the square. For 3 days, they stoned him after he was dead. That's how much they didn't like him. They didn't care about the murdering of innocent men, women, and children. They didn't care about that at all. They didn't like expensive eggs, expensive living. But that's why Hitler didn't want his body alive, because he didn't want to be embarrassed like Benito Mussolini. What do I think about Jesus being a black man? I don't give a damn if he's purple. I don't see why it matters. Yellow, green, purple, white, black, whatever. I don't give a damn. I don't know why it matters. Yeah. So Benito Mussolini was the fascist ruler of Italy in the 20s. I think it was 1913. He started something called the Papel d'Italia. It was essentially Fox News. It was propaganda. And he told everybody that the immigrants are the enemies of the people. You have to vote for me. And he got into power. And after he became into power, his brother took over the newspaper and ran it as propaganda. I think it was 130,000. He enslaved his own population. Hold on. How many people? Hold on. Let me look it up. I'm going to give you the exact numbers. From 1926 to 1943, Italians were arrested for political reasons and sent to remote island of internment colonies or isolated villages in southern Italy. So he basically imprisoned his political opponents, which is the same thing like what he's doing with John Bolton and probably Miles Austin next, probably Joe Biden. And then they had the black shirts burning down offices, attacking members, arresting members of the parliament. But that's kind of how this all happened, right? He just took it over. And they didn't call it slavery, but he basically forced people to work against their will, if you would. He was an awful human being. It was Mussolini, Joseph Stalin, and Hitler all about the same time. Similar. They overlapped a little bit. But yeah, they were all pretty awful human beings. Somebody asked about Netanyahu. Again, I don't see, this is where this is why I don't like politics. Israel's very simple. They're our ally. Yes. Do they have the right to defend themselves? Yes. But what you don't do is you bomb a country for 2 years, bomb hospitals with innocent citizens in it because there might be one bad person at the bottom of the hospital. That's not defending yourself. That is genocide. It's ethnic cleansing. You don't starve people and prevent food from coming out of the country because you're looking for Hamas. That's a bunch of bullshit. What he's doing is ethnic cleansing. Now, the reason Democrats don't say anything is because they're getting money from AIPAC. That's a bunch of crap. The party of pro-life that's about tradition, that's about standing up for the rule of law, and they're standing for life. They can't even, Netanyahu should be buried under a prison, and then when he meets Jesus, sent down with Jeffrey Epstein. It's that simple. This isn't complicated, people. It's just not. Benito was called like that for Benito. Who was president of Mexico? Yeah, Benito was a pretty awful human being. He didn't go as far as Hitler did, but he got pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. AIPAC comes from Israel. They give money to both Republicans and Democrats. So there is a fear that, no, it's not for me, politicians, that if you say something against Netanyahu, that these AIPACs will not give you money. That's crap. Their job as a politician is to stand up for human lives. I don't want anybody to lose their life or be injured, whether it be in Palestine or whether it be in Israel. I don't want any lives to be lost, especially people that are just going about their everyday life that aren't participating at all. I don't know why. This is not complicated. I don't want any innocent people to lose their lives, period. Citizens United. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll tell you what it is really quick. I got to leave in a second here. I got to get ready for my trip tomorrow. Back in 2010, Ortiz, is that right? 2010 is when the ruling came down. The Supreme Court, in their infinite stupidity, decided that a corporation had the same rights as a U.S. citizen like you and I. A corporation, just so you know, doesn't even exist. It's a piece of paper. It has how we have a social security number. Corporations have something called an EIN number, which is, it's like 2 digits, then a dash, and then like 8 more numbers. So what that means is somebody like a Tesla or an Elon Musk can act like a private citizen as a corporation. So that corporation could donate, like in the last election, $300 million. Okay, so let's say that there's 350 million people in this country. Okay, 3 people own as much wealth as half the country. So that one corporation just donated $300 million, right? We got 36.8 million people live in poverty. How is a regular citizen like you or I watching this show, how are we going to put enough money together to even compete against that kind of donation? You can't. It's a bunch of crap. It's a reason for corporations to maintain control. It was a disgrace what the Supreme Court did. Absolutely disgraceful. So That's why Citizens United has to be overturned. There is too much damn money in politics. You have to take away AIPAC, take away dark money. You have to reverse Citizens United. And what really should happen is put caps on political and congressional races. Cap it out. That will limit any desire to do something bad and raise money illegally. That's what should happen. You should minimize the effects of corporations in our political system. Yes, Elon Musk is a tool. Elon Musk has 14 kids with 6 women. Not exactly a great father, in my opinion. Maybe he should worry about being a dad instead of like running his mouth about starting a political party. Right, but Kathleen, this is where I think a lot of people miss the mark. I understand that we want to put I don't want to. You want to vote for the lesser of two evils and put the Democrats back in the midterms because we want to stop fascism. I understand the desire for it. I get it. Here's the problem. Let's say the Democrats get back in power. Do you think they're going to reverse Citizens United? Are they going to take AIPAC out? No. Why? Because those are their biggest donors. Why would the Congress vote against their own best interests? Just like they're not going to vote against banning congressional people from trading stocks while they're in office. They're literally fixing the rules to benefit themselves. Why would they vote against that? And that's the message I've been trying to put out there. We keep voting for the two-party system. We're living in an abusive relationship. And every election, we say, I can't vote for an independent because it's a vote for the other team. Great. The answer is to shut the country down on a general strike. That's the answer. You stop paying federal taxes. Everybody stops going to work. Teachers, union workers, UPS, FedEx, farmers, everything. Except for like hospitals and like grocery stores. You shut the whole thing down. And you protest until our demands are met. It's not simple. But the way you go about it is simple. The wildcat strike of May of 1968 in France, 22% of the country went on strike for 3 weeks. 13 million people went on strike. They changed the country. But Americans are unwilling to be uncomfortable. The number one thing I get is I can't afford to. And I get it. I am sympathetic to that because I've been poor too. I couldn't afford a bike and I walked 3.5 miles each way to work. But here's the thing. Let's say, I got to leave in a second because I got to fold laundry. Yeah, I know, Val. And that's the problem is there's too many people that are poor. But that's the exact reason we have to fix the system because it's not okay that people live paycheck to paycheck and have to decide between eating or paying the rent. That's a bunch of crap and that has to stop. It's gross. If you're on a lifeboat and you have 7 days worth of food, okay, because a lot of people are there. This is how I look at it. You see an island in the distance. You're like, do I stay here because I know that I have something for 7 more days to eat? Or do I take the risk and swim to the island where I know there's more food and it's safety? And right now, a lot of us are choosing that I'm going to stay on the lifeboat for 7 days, and that's fine. I'm not judging you. But after 7 days, when your food runs out, that boat drifts so far away that you don't even see the island anymore. And you're stuck. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. It's bad now. It's going to be a lot worse if we do nothing. Yeah, Ortiz, or the boat sinks or it flips over, a whale hits it. I don't know, Ortiz. I've been pushing this general strike, and Morgan's helped me with it. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to have to feel the pain of doing nothing. I do. I wish there was a better answer. I think the people right now that are hiding behind their privilege, their money, they're going to have to feel it. They're going to have to lose their jobs. Their 401k is going to go down. I don't want that to happen. But until we are a very selfish country, we are. We don't give a damn about something until it affects us. Look at the MAGA. They didn't care that women were victims of abuse because it didn't affect them. They didn't care about January 6th because their dad was an Officer Sitnik that passed away or that was injured. They didn't give a damn about anybody else except for themselves. And they call it personal freedom. It's not freedom. It's selfishness wrapped in nationalism. That's all it is. Yeah, D-Nice, we try to avoid it, but unfortunately, racism is expensive. I'm not a Democrat either, Eli. I'm with you, buddy. I'm in the middle. I thought Biden was a decent guy. What Joe Biden should have done is what he promised. He should have been a one-term president. He should have stepped away after one term and then gone to the primaries and let the people decide who they want to run for president. That's what should have happened. He gave Harris 100 days. Wasn't wise. He did a lot of good things. Now, I will also say this. Last thing, because I got to get going here. Sorry. When I interviewed Eric Swalwell a couple weeks ago, he said that we should have banned dark money, we should have raised minimum wage, and we should have put term limits on the Supreme Court because they tried to play political games. They didn't do it. So you're going to tell the people that you didn't do your damn job when you had the majority, but now you have to vote for us once again. You have to because we're not the Republicans. Come on, man. Really? That's your sales pitch? Listen, the Democrats didn't codify Roe versus Wade when they had the supermajority under Obama. So as much as it is on the Supreme Court that Donald put in office, the Democrats could have avoided it if they would have done their damn job and had a backbone, but they didn't. They let it happen, playing politics once again. The Democrats crap the bed just as bad. They just do it in a different way. Yeah, you're right, Val. We have the power, but Americans haven't shown the backbone and the fortitude to do it because they only care about something when it affects them. Unfortunately, I will say this because I really got to go, is the one difference that I noticed between Republicans and Democrats. Listen, the Democrats aren't perfect, but they give a damn about other people. I voted for women's rights and trans rights. I voted for people that have health care. I voted for people that get small businesses. My taxes as a small business under Harris would have gone up. But you know what? I'm not a selfish prick. But you know what Republicans did? They sat on their street with 10 other neighbors and said, my life's better. Screw you guys. I'm going to vote for this guy. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats as a rule of thumb. They're selfish. The people that love thy neighbor as thyself. No, politics isn't fun. And it should be fun. It should be about making people's lives better other than winning. Because at the end of the day, you vote for the Niners, you vote for Seattle, right? We all go to the game. We root for our team. Your team wins. What do you actually win? Nothing. You had to drive there. You had to pay to park. You had to pay $10 for a hot dog, $5 for a soda. You had to buy the tickets. Your team wins. You cheer. You're happy. And you go home. The team won. You didn't. That's what politics has turned into. Our team wins and we all get screwed. Sadly, that's just where we are. Yeah. All right, my friends, I got to go pack because I got to get ready for leaving tomorrow for Vegas. So I'll try to stream this week. I don't know if I'll have time with traveling to Vegas, but maybe on Saturday, though. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Morgan.